Thank y'all all so much for coming out today on this beautiful Saturday. There's a lot of other ways you can spend your day besides listening to political talk. I think most everybody in this room knows me. I moved here when I was 4 years old. I built my business here. I raised my family here. I worship here. I'm the current chairman of Horry County Council. The issues in this campaign, I know you've heard them debated over and over again. The jobs in the economy, the national deficit, and local infrastructure issues, the main three things that I'm focused on. I'm not going to give you my political stuff again. I know most of you have heard it over and over again. I'm new to politics. I'm not new to community service. I very much apologize for the negativity that's entered into this campaign. I didn't want to go there. I finally did go there yesterday because I've been hit for the last 10 days with, just a barrage of lies. A barrage of outright lies. And we had 2 televised debates yesterday, and I brought those things out and asked Mr. Bauer to back them up, and he couldn't do it. He says I raised taxes. There was a referendum to raise taxes, and I cut it in half. He says he didn't raise taxes. He voted on the largest tax increase in the last 40 years in South Carolina. He calls it property tax relief. But it was a 1-cent sales tax. It cost the average family in South Carolina $400 a year. They get a tax break on the principal residence. It's true, you got an expensive house, it'll offset it. But for those people, those 40% of South Carolinians that don't own a house, they think it was a tax increase. For all those second homeowners in Horry and Georgetown County, like my neighbor, whose property taxes were 4 times what mine are. He thought it was a tax increase. All the businesses in South Carolina that don't get that property tax relief, they think it's a tax increase. It makes them less competitive. It costs South Carolina jobs. It especially hurt Horry and Georgetown County where there's so many second homes. Mr. Bauer just moved here, and he doesn't realize that. Mr. Bauer's lived in 5 places in the last 15 years, working for 5 different offices. Guys, I'm from here. I know the local issues. I love representing you. We need a strong advocate in Washington. Somebody who can build alliances and make things happen. I can do that for you. I've been doing it my whole life. Mr. Bauer's going to tell you Al Allen and Bob Zabowski endorsed him. 2 of my 12 councilors, and that's fine. Well, pretty much every other member of the legislative delegation in Horry County is back in Tennessee. And Governor Haley, who worked with Mr. Bauer for 8 years, is back in Tennessee. So, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to answer a couple of quick questions. I've got to be in Florence. The notion that I'm somehow afraid to debate Mr. Bauer is ridiculous. I debated 15 times, twice yesterday, 2 times with this club. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but I got to go.
Tom, could you
yes, sir.
respond to the dollar gas tax allegation, which I'd never heard before until I saw it?
I wrote an op-ed in the newspaper 5 years ago when gas was $1.60 a gallon, saying we should think about putting a $1 gallon gas tax on and an offsetting federal income tax credit, dollar for dollar, wouldn't cost anybody any additional taxes. They would get a tax credit back. And it would lower gas consumption, lower fuel imports, lower emissions, lower, it would bring a whole lot of benefits. Wouldn't cost anybody any additional. I would never favor that when gas is $3 or $4.
Thanks, Tom. I thought I wrote that letter, Brad.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Mike Patty, have 2 real quick questions.
Okay.
Number 1, you talked about bringing jobs into the county. When you get there, yes, you'll tell us why we can try to cut it down. We're going to eliminate the jobs. That's one question. The second one is, claiming to be a conservative, and yet you didn't support Jim DeMint when he was running, and you call yourself a moderate. Now, are you a moderate or are you a conservative?
Let me ask you, I never say I'm a moderate. What I say in that is I'm a little more moderate. And both those times they were asking me to compare myself to Jim DeMint, and Jim DeMint is extremely conservative. I'm conservative too. I'm very conservative. I agree with him on 98% of things, but compared to him, there's like 95% of people out there, I'm a little more moderate. That's what I said both times. With respect to Bike Week, I think y'all know my position on Bike Week. I hate to hash this out again. Bike Week, in my opinion, is horrible for the Great Extreme. It runs everybody else out of here. It lowers the quality of life. What, we have 6 people killed this year? I don't call that success. I call that tragic. We had 200 people injured. And what was the other thing? I don't even remember there were so many things happening at the same time. I don't remember what they were.
Well, you answered the one about being a conservative.
Bike Week, conservative, what's the other?
That's all I asked.
You said 3. What was the other?
Oh, Jim DeMint.
Oh, Jim DeMint, yeah. God, this is kind of crap that gets thrown around. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that word. But Jim DeMint, when he ran the first time in 2004, I've never heard of him. Mark McBride, mayor of Myrtle Beach, decided to run for Senate. Now, I will admit, this may show a little bit of bad judgment. But I gave $500 to Mark McBride. That's what he's talking about. You know, that I didn't support Jim DeMint. I gave $500 to Mark McBride. He probably is one of the 5 South Carolinians that is more conservative than Jim DeMint. One other question. Yes, sir.
Tell me exactly what the specifics are on Social Security going forward. I know it needs to be fixed.
Well, when you look at where we are today, we've got entitlements. I know that's a bad word, mandatory spending, whatever you want to call it. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, welfare, SSI, food stamps, all that stuff, you add it up. It's $1.9 trillion a year today. Not 20 years from now, not 5 years from now, today. Then you add to that the interest on the debt, which is $300 billion. That's $2.2 trillion that it's costing us today. Things that, you know, Congress doesn't appropriate automatic stuff. You know what we're taking in? $2.1 trillion. We got a deficit before you ever fund the first bullet for the military, before you fund the Defense Department, the Department of Interior, the FBI, the CIA, and every other one of the 1,000 federal departments that are out there. You know, it's fine to say, I want to cut energy, education, blah, 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 all these departments. And maybe those things need to be cut. Maybe they're completely wasteful, total waste of time. But even if you do it, it's just a small drop in the bucket. If you really want to accomplish something, it's going to require structural reform. It's going to require tax code reform. And when I say that, I'm talking about flatten the tax code and simplify it. It's going to require spending caps. It's going to require entitlement reform. Something like the Ryan plan. And it lays out specifics on how he would form entitlements. Something like Bowles Simpson. You know, that there are plans out there, people will spend tens of millions of dollars on, put minds on it that are very clear on it, and I'm open to taking the best part of any one of those plans, and let's get busy in January, and there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of hope something can happen next year, because we're going to have a lot of new congressmen, we're going to have a new president, we're going to have the Bush tax cuts are expiring. Nobody wants to see that happen. We're going to have the automatic spending cuts from the debt ceiling negotiations kicking in. Nobody wants to see that happen. We're going to have 2% payroll tax cut expiring. All these things are going to be huge drags on the economy. And so there's a lot of impetus. There's a lot of impetus to things we might have a chance to make real structural reform to make entitlements solid, to bring us on a path back to a balanced budget.
So you say why is
Yeah, I know your time constraints, and I appreciate it. You have time for a quick rebuttal. Yes. Well, I tell you what.
He can talk. And I'll tell you this, my son's here, Randall Wallace and I are very close on our beliefs on the issues. We've sat through all the debates. Randall has endorsed me, and I absolutely will back up whatever he says. He will do
Give that card.
Thank you. I'll give that to Andre.
Tom, I appreciate it. Renzi, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Please don't leave.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm very upset.